My name is Roselyn Orwa. I'm the director and founder of Rona Foundation. I am a childless widow and I raise 27 orphaned children. I consider myself a blessed parent and turning my painful story of suffering infertility for many years, endometriosis, infertility, and a lot of surgeries and a lot of costs incurred to remedy my own birth situation. And turning that painful story to an orphanage to raise other children, and using my own story of widowhood to empower other widows. Matters in fertility are very private. They are known, but the individual stories are very painful. They are full of stigma, full of socio-cultural undertones, and a lot of unrecognition in the family structure, because a woman's worth in the African culture is measured by the number of children she births. So if you have no children, you are as much as worthless. And so the value of women is attached to childbearing, and not even education, and not to economic empowerment, and nothing else. A woman's worth is measured by, and that now makes women like me invisible, voiceless, and suffer a lot of social trauma. It is a difficult situation to overcome. It took me many years and a lot of cost incurring surgery, and IVF is not cheap. How many people can afford it? Insurance is sometimes not even easy to look for, because infertility is not even covered under insurance. Rural widowed women that I work with that are also suffering infertility and have very humiliating names, because infertility, also women who suffer infertility have, in every cultural aspect, they have very humiliating names. Kiswahili is tasa. Tasa is also very harsh, barren. Those are very harsh words. So people have not recognized that even how you refer to a woman who does not have children can also destroy her emotional and mental health. So a number of women that I know that suffer infertility are living in a lot of social stigma and are stereotyped. Some are even called witches. Kama ni polygamous home na your co-wife mtoto wake hata akufe ama kitu ifanyike, ni wewe umeua, uko na jicho mbaya, umebeba kakisirani, kwa nini hukuzaa, maybe ulitoa mimba, the number of abortion, it's all stigma. You did abortion, why, so nobody looks at the undertones of what are the real causes of infertility. The other side, infertility is also pegged on a woman. It's not pegged on a man. So it is like women are the ones who bear the brunt on the social issues around infertility. Men keep on. Ni kama mwanaume yeye ako tu sawa hata kama yeye ndio akona issue. The cost of accessing gynecological services is also impossible and very costly. Like where we are in Wagoma village here, I don't know whether there's a gyno in Bondo. I don't know whether this, even if you just have growth or ovarian cyst or matters to hormonal imbalance, will you even access medical care? Reproductive health issues are also very complicated. The spaces are also very unfriendly. So matters in fertility are, even when the Constitution talks about Article 43, talking about, health care for all, but does it consider women like us? IVF, one try is over $500,000. Can a rural woman afford? Is there insurance? Is there education and awareness about it? So all these are missing. So even when we are looking at marking International Women's Day, is infertility even a discussion on the table? When we are saying we are building back forward, we are building back better. Whom are we building back better for? Because matters in fertility are still hidden uko chini, under taboos, under myths, under misconceptions, under policies and laws that either don't exist or are full of gaps. So we even when we are in a group like our widow group, and the other widows tell us we are with you, are they really with us? Because a woman is created to be able to, the Bible says, go forth and multiply. So if you also don't go forth and multiply, are you also fulfilling the biblical purpose of creation? So there's always an innate nature in a woman that has a desire, that there's that unfulfilled desire that could I hold my own children. It takes a very long time, including the hand of God, to heal from that pain. And it took me a very long time. When I discovered that you don't have to, not every woman is supposed to bear children through the, child labor. You can labor differently. And so my story is one of those unique ones where I have healed from my pain and I've decided to bear child labor in a different way. When you raise 27 children, you labor every day. You labor for food. You labor for resources. You labor for medical care. You labor for clothes. You labor for school fees. That's labor for orphaned children. I know I hear the pain of labor when you go to the hospital and give birth. But my pain is every day. Every day when children don't have food here. Every day when children can't go to school. Every day when communities reach me. That's my labor. So I bear that burden of laboring for the forgotten of the society through my own suffering of infertility. There were choices I could have made. And my friends have talked to me about this. I could have made choices of IVF. But somewhere midstream, I also discovered that I could choose any other way to parent another way. I could choose to also be a mother to society. I could choose to be, a vehicle of providing support to the community that are less fortunate. So, and even that choice, having been widowed for 13 years, could I even afford IVF? I'm not sure I could afford IVF. So there needs to be policy gaps. There needs to be the IVF bill hanging in Parliament should be passed. There needs to be insurance, looking at the policy of insurance to cover matters in fertility. There also need to be interventions to speak openly about infertility generally so that women can open up. Polygamy is also, an issue of intervention in terms of society. How to, if you don't give birth as a first wife, then nitaoa mwingine anizalie watoto. But this woman is caged here in stigma and pain and stereotype that she'll never be whole. You just married because I didn't have children. So if society doesn't open up to speak, then these women will still remain. Even if we mark this day, we are saying choose to challenge. Can we also choose to challenge infertility? I lost my first marriage at 28 because of infertility. My mother had to return dowry. I underwent a lot of surgery. I've almost lost my life at the surgical table, almost 3 or 4 times. For a period of 10 years in my 20s to 30s, I wondered how brutal my first marriage was because of master's infertility. I assume I had children. I don't think it would have gone the way it went. I don't think even dowry would have been returned because dowry sometimes is held because a child is sired. I think they hold it in trust because of a child. My mother had to be humiliated because of that. So I have seen in fact, I call it emotional rape that I underwent in the context of a marriage and infertility. And it's something I wouldn't want to wish another woman, no matter whether they had children or not. Can we also begin to measure the success of women using other perimeters? What can they do in society? Look how my life has turned around. I can say my own impact raising other children who are orphaned compared to if I raised one child that I sired. I look at myself, maybe God has been very gracious to me. God has redeemed my story through the work that I do. But it was a painful journey. It wasn't, maybe widow would found me at 32 later, and it was difficult. But I can tell you for a fact, the most difficult thing I overcame is suffering the emotional pain of infertility and overcoming it. That has been the greatest one I've overcome. Because it is not easy. Social stigma will come. Stigma will come from many places. Family, friends, relatives. Even ukinona tu kidogo tumbo ionekani. Unatuletea lini? Tumebarikiwa. And so you are suffering hormonal imbalance. It is almost killing you, endometriosis. When you suffer endometriosis and hormonal imbalance because of infertility, Your body is constantly fighting. Some days you are fat, some days you are thin, some days they're just constant battles. So, and I don't even think the rural women know that these are caused by hormonal imbalance. These are other biological causes, and they are not something within your hold. So nobody is doing that education. You know, nobody is creating that awareness around it. And because a lot of women who suffer infertility are hiding in stigma someplace. The other day there was this BBC documentary about women stealing children. They are just stealing children to overcome the stigma that is given at the community household and the family household. Adanganye tu banake amevaa kakitu hapo kwa tumbo miezi 6, aende mahali, apate nafasi, aibe mtoto. So women should not steal children at this point in our society. In the 21st century, women are stealing children. And then there are options. Are those options available in Kenya affordably? IVF iko, surrogate motherhood iko, adoption iko. Can you even adopt a child? Watakutafuta mpaka bank account. Rural mama akona bank account ya kusema mimi nitachukua mtoto nilisha. Hata M-Pesa anaangaliwa na mtoto wake na mjukuu wake. So those barriers are too high. So women ordinarily are the rural grassroots women will never meet those perimeters. So we are not opening our voices to say that infertility is a social issue, is an individual issue and a family issue. But there are policies and gaps that should be looked at. It takes a lot of time to get healed from not having a child of your own. But pain is the place where light comes in. Any woman can find her purpose in her pain. God cannot give you a story and a life that he cannot use, and a situation you cannot overcome. But it takes a personal, you have to journey inside so that you can journey outside. So women who suffer infertility should avoid going to witch doctors, sijui wekewe na mganga dawa, sijui wapi. Witch doctors rape women who suffer infertility in the name of nitaeka tu na dawa alafu ndio upate mtoto. Medical expenses that are expensive. Accept your story. If you are able to afford alternatives, look for alternatives. But it is also going to make your family poorer and poorer. Infertility and cancer run in the same breath. That household will forever be poor because the search is the same. People want life, people want health, people want children, people want the next generation. The pain is the place where light comes in, and God can use it to fulfill his own purpose.